Yes, indeed, all things money. And listen, doesn't matter what's going on a national scale, you always have to have a plan, not just for yourself, but for your family as well. But sometimes that's just difficult, especially in a year when people are just saying, let's wait and see. Let the elections come, then let's wait and see. But what does that actually mean for the national economy, but more so, what does that mean for your pocket? Rina Hicks is here. She's the author of MoneyWise. She's also in the investment field, so she can tell us all about that. Rina, come out here, lovely. Hello. How are you,
Hi, Kobi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Mwah, mwah. How are you doing?
Very well.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel like I've just set the bar for such a heated conversation, but it's not. It's not at all.
It's easy.
It's easy. It's
Okay.
easy, and I think that's the attitude we should all take during the season.
Yes.
It's never that serious.
Yes.
Of course, I think the best place for us to start is to figure out who you are and how you got into the financial world.
So I'm Rina Hicks, and I'm an author and an investment banker. And all that means is I find opportunities and bring opportunities and people together. So people with opportunities come to me, and those looking for opportunities come to me, or I should say us. I work for a company called Faida Investment Bank.
Okay.
And out of working, I guess I ended up speaking to a lot of people, because I didn't start at the top. I started right from the bottom, and I've been working there for about 14 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and when I started, I found myself spending a lot of time, because I started with customer service. I found myself spending so much time with customers that, you know, my colleagues would look at me like, you know, the queue is long. Can you just get over and done with it already, you know? And then out of that, I realized, hey, I actually have a passion for this. Yeah. And my discussions would go beyond what share should I buy. And I found myself saying, you know, what else are you investing? When you sell, where are you taking your money? And we'd have a discussion around that. And I'd find myself going beyond just what we do. Yeah. And I realized, hey, I actually have a really interesting passion for personal finance. And I started to read, and I get questions, and people would ask me, come speak at my investment group, or come to my church, we're having a function for the women, and come to here, we're having a function for the men. And I found myself doing so many talks, and I was invited to write for a finance magazine. Okay. And I became a columnist. And after a while, my mom was like, no, you need to start writing. And I was like, write a book? Me? Never. Yeah. I can't do that. Yeah, so that's how I started. I just basically decided, okay, I will write. And it took me 2 years, and I wrote the book. So I did write the book, and I continue working at Faida Investment Bank. But I've continued to advise people through YouTube. Yeah. And I post YouTube videos almost every day.
Yes, you do.
Monday to Friday. And it's very interesting to see how that's grown so much, and just how people are able to connect with the stuff that I'm sharing, stuff that I would typically find, oh, that's so simple. But because I interact with it on a daily basis, but for others, you know, and you know, it's not so simple. And I've also learned a lot in the process, and learned about myself and the weaknesses that I have where my money is concerned.
Right, and of course, I bet you made you better in your own personal finances.
Yes.
When you look at, I guess, where we are, and globally, in terms of people being a lot more aware about their finances, wanting to be more in touch, wanting to invest more, what have you found, especially in Kenya?
Well, first of all, globally, it's not unique to Kenya. It's a global issue. A lot of people just have challenges managing money for one reason or another. Yeah. Money does things to people. So first of all, if you have a lot of it, you kind of feel powerful, and you know, it's like a drug.
Sonko is the word that they use. When him does.
Even the way you get treated. My husband, and I even wrote the story in the book, but I didn't say who it was. Yeah. Doesn't like to drive to work. He likes to walk, you know, to exercise. So he walks to the bus stop, takes a matatu, and goes to work. Yeah. And on this one day, it was raining heavily, cats and dogs. And then he's with his brolly, and he was wet, obviously. And the askari was so mad. He was like, he couldn't even talk. Unafanya nini? Kwa nini hauna gari? You know? He was like, no, you should not have, not be walking. Yes. You need to drive a car. You're a manager, for goodness sakes. It's me who's taking the bus and being rained on. Now, if you're the one being rained on, now the rest of us.
Where am I going?
So it's an attitude we have. It's a mentality that we have. And it's not, I find it more here in Africa, where people respect you because of money that you have. And yet it should be about the person that you are, the value that you're adding to people.
And most of the time you'll find that the way to identify that people have money is the nice car, the big house. And a lot of times you'll find that some of these people have taken loans, doing double mortgages and things like that. And we're just believing a lie. We're believing a lie. Now, of course, when you look at the book and the kind of impact that it's had in terms of just putting out information to help people and getting good feedback that it's actually working. How does that make you feel?
Oh gosh, it's the most fulfilling thing. I feel like I'm living out my purpose. You know, just getting the emails that I get and the posts that I get, somebody saying, you know, I read this and it's transformed my life, or now my husband and I are doing this thing and we're now tracking our expenses and we know how to do it, you know, and it's changed the way that we relate where money is concerned. I feel so fulfilled.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm like, I could do this even for free, you know? Because I just feel, you know, I'm making a difference in people's lives and even in my own, because I use the book myself, by the way.
Right.
So it has made a difference in my life.
Okay. I feel like every time we talk about money, it's almost seasonal. You know, it's January or it's going to December and it's saving, you know, New Year's resolution, I'll save more. But right now we're smack dab in the middle of the year and still there's been a lot of fear and things like that. What would you say sort of about the speculation that's been going on, and not just in 2017, but 2016, based on the fact that this is an election year and how it's affected people's pockets?
Yeah, I think people have just generally been fearful. So what they've done generally is just not spend on things they wouldn't usually spend on. You know, they're spending on things they have to spend on. You know, your food, your basics. But you find if you would typically have spent money and gone on lavish holidays or done things that you wouldn't usually do, you'd kind of hold back. And that applies to individuals as well as companies. You'll find budgets have been slashed, marketing budgets are smaller. People are preferring to use cheaper ways of marketing so that they can conserve what they have, because they're like, you know, we don't know what happens. And also when you don't spend, it means then the companies that would have taken your money don't have it.
Right.
But it's interesting, you find as we move to election years or election periods, while you think, because it's just an attitude.
Right.
When you think people are not spending, do you know the companies that make money are people who are in the food industry, FMCGs.
Yes.
In fact, they as corporates make more money because people tend to hoard.
Right.
You want to buy more. If you're buying diapers for your children, you know, you buy more so that you can store in case something goes wrong. So those kinds of companies that deal in food stuff, fast-moving consumer goods generally as well, tend to do very well in election season. So yes, it's an attitude that is there. People tend to fear, but it's just one day. And the fear comes from the history, I guess, we've had with the different elections. But when you look at it critically, I think we as a country went through such a hard time that I think every single Kenyan wants to see peace.
Absolutely.
Even if they are disappointed, I think they will try and express that disappointment differently, as opposed to, you know, picking up a panga, picking up a, you know, a tool that can harm somebody else.
I think we'll get into the details of where we are nationally based on the year, but the speculation sometimes is just rumor mill, and these rumors can actually affect your personal finances. They can affect. So it's important as people are watching and looking that they actually get their facts right, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking, you need to find out what are the things that affect an investment. What are the things that could potentially affect my investment? So you look at, okay, interest rates. Interest rates will affect my investment. If interest rates are high, and I've invested in an interest rate, in an interest earning product, and interest rates go up, then I suffer because I'm getting low interest and yet they're going to go high. And the reverse is true. If, for example, I am in business and I want to borrow from the bank, if interest rates are going to go high, then I will suffer because the cost of the money when I want to borrow will be so high. But the question is, are interest rates going to go high?
Right.
Last year in 2016, the Bank Amendment Act capped interest rates at 4% of the central bank rate, which is 10% at the moment.
Right.
That means you will not pay more than 14%, and that it's the law. So whether we have elections or not, your interest rate is not going to move.
Okay.
So if I'm looking at interest rates, this is just an example as a factor that affects your investment. If you're looking at just interest rates, it's not likely to move much, right? Whether you're looking to borrow or looking to invest, because of the fact that there's a capping. Even on savings, there's a cap, you know, in terms of the least that you can earn. So that sort of then prevents a significant impact on the fact that we have elections. So it's not really the elections that's an issue, it's a bigger issue.
It is, and you're right, it's a mentality, and I think hopefully one day we will get over it, and because it's a almost one day exercise, and it shouldn't stall us at all.
It shouldn't. In fact, Kobi, I look forward to the day that we'll have leadership that don't sensationalize this thing so much.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the Netherlands and other countries in the West, particularly...
We don't even hear about the elections. You just hear about who won.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't even remember their name after that. Yeah. They even ride in the train with other people. You know, they're normal people who live. But this thing of worshipping leaders and making them so much bigger, leaders should be servants, Kobi.
Because exactly, and this is what I've been saying on this show and reminding people, it's a few hundred people who are looking for a job from us.
Yes.
And that shouldn't stall or stagnate any areas of our lives. Yes. Absolutely not. Okay, in just a couple of minutes after the break, we'll of course be speaking about how to plan for your family. Your kids have gone on holiday. What are your plans for them, especially when it comes to the finances? Right now, take a look at Reena, one of her videos on YouTube. Please subscribe while you're there and log on to social media platforms where we will connect you to her. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere. And we are back. We are back, guys, of course, talking about personal finance and, of course, national economy just a week before we head to the ballot. And very, very important, preaching peace throughout. That's the most important thing, I think, at the moment. Yeah. Kids have just gone on holiday. A lot of people will take this time off, just even take their leave right now. Yeah. So a lot of people are just taking a beat. Looking at, of course, planning for this period, looking at your finances, and a lot of people save for when kids are going to school.
Yes.
All right, or for the holiday in December. Yeah. So this is a new one. What should you plan for if you're a mom and a dad with a big family or with a family?
I think because there's so much going on, and perhaps you didn't figure out how, you know, that the kids will be home and I need to have activities for them. If you've not saved, no, don't stress. Don't spend money you don't have. Yeah. It's actually an opportunity to help children understand that there's a budget. And unfortunately, we didn't budget for August. And take the opportunity to teach kids that money is limited. You know, we don't want to raise entitled children anyway. So the other way that you could do is give them opportunities to make money. Yeah. So depending on the age of the kids, obviously, it's, you know, what chores or what specific activities can the child do that can potentially help them make money, whether that's 5 bob, 10 bob. It's just just getting into the habit of knowing that if I work, or if I sell something, I can generate an income. Right. And it will be a good opportunity for the kids in this season when they're at home. Instead of sitting at home being bored, they can make crafts, you know, do different things that they can sell. And as a parent, you can actually arrange with your friends. Yeah, please buy my child's XYZ painting. Yeah. I'll even give you the money for it. Just, you know, let them get into the habit of being able to do something with their time. Yes. And learning that if you work and if you know, you can earn something. The other thing parents can do is make an activity of going out to open a bank account, for example. Yeah. For the child, not me as a parent saving money and starting a bank account for my child. Yes. It's, you've raised how much money? 100 shillings, 200 shillings? Awesome. Let's go to XYZ Bank and open a bank account for yourself. Help them understand what does that mean. You know, like 2 days ago, my daughter came to me and she said, oh, we have this thing at school. We have what they call prayer partners, and I need to buy my prayer partner a gift. And so I was like, oh gosh, when? By tomorrow. And I thought, how am I going to do this? So I know there's this really cheap place I can get a gift, and I got it and I brought it home. And I thought to myself, what have I just done? And I told her, I've bought you this gift, but next time you have closing day or whatever, and you need to buy your partner a gift, you have to have saved money to do it. Right. You know? Yeah. So you'll need to work hard to make sure you have that 100 shillings or 200, whatever it is you want to spend on that gift. And the choice of the gift will be dependent on how much money you've raised. And plan for it. Because now we end up absorbing the emergency. Yes, and we're not teaching them anything. So I felt like I missed out on a teaching opportunity, but it will come. Next time will come and and you'll be ready. Yeah, so the holiday will be an opportunity to teach the children on different things that they can do too. I think so. I think we grew up in a time when you were not supposed to talk about money, you know, there was never any of it. You know, and now kids are a lot smarter. They know more. Yes. Looking at, of course, saving for a rainy day. We've heard it. It's been drummed into our lives.
but it's just getting harder and harder to save. There was a research study undertaken by the government, and it showed that yes, Kenyans can see that there has been development, and we can see that yes, there's an SGR now, and there's a new ferry, and all of these great things are happening on a national scale. But people feel that in their pockets, they've dipped into their savings. There's been no gains. A lot of people have been fearful about investing. What can you say about that individual who's feeling a bit like it hasn't been great for me, and now I'm supposed to save more because of this election? What can you say?
I'd say there's different tools that they can use. So first of all, even as you think through saving, the best place to start is to know where you're at, because sometimes you kind of tend to feel overwhelmed. Have you ever had such a busy week or busy season coming ahead that you're so overwhelmed about all these balls that you feel are in the air?
I'm there right now.
Yeah, but if you just take time to write down, okay, what do I actually need to do? And you take a piece of paper, and when you write them down, you're like, okay, it's not that bad. So sometimes that stress comes from not really knowing where you're at. So the first thing I'd say is find out, where are you at? How much do you owe? How much do you own? How much do you spend, and how much do you earn? Because say I'm a freelancer, all right? I'm a cameraman, or a camera woman, and I take pictures, and I'm really good at it, and so I do gigs. I have weddings, I have this, the other. Maybe I work for NTV, and this other side gig somewhere. Sometimes it's difficult to get a handle on how much do I actually earn, especially when you're a freelancer or you don't have a salary at the end of the month, or maybe you have that salary at the end of the month, but there's many other things that you do for your income. It's important to know how much you earn, number one. So write it down and know. Number two, how much do you actually owe? Yes, you have that car loan, but then maybe you took, or are in the habit of taking bread and milk from the kiosk outside your house on credit, but then you forget about it, and it nags you, but you don't quite remember, what's this thing that's nagging me? Write down and list down, who are the different people I owe money, and how much is it? Then you know how much you owe. And then how much do you spend? You need to take a record of how much you spend. And then once you do all these different things, then you will know, okay, so I'm actually spending X amount of money on lunch.
On nothing.
Or on drinks. On
going
gifts,
out, shoes, whatever.
Or on shoes, you know. My goodness, on my hair. So then you'll be able to say, okay, I thought I couldn't save, but really, I don't need to take all this money, or I can skip lunch, or I don't need to do all these different things I'm doing. Perhaps let me skip this, then I'll take 50 bob from there, 100 bob from there, and before you know it, you'll have money. And I remember in the beginning of the year, there was a challenge, actually it was 2016, that was introduced in Kenya, but this challenge has been there. It started in the US. It's called the 52-week saving challenge.
Yes, I remember.
You know about
this.
it,
Yes,
where you save 50 shillings 1 week, second week you add 50 to it, and so on and so forth. So when you start with 50, by the time you're getting, and you keep saving and add 50 every single week to the end of the year, you end up with something like 68,000, I think 68,900 shillings.
Wow.
At the end of the year, which you can use for whatever.
Holiday.
There you go.
That shopping that you want to do.
For your shoes, for your holiday, for whatever.
Exactly,
And so it's not that difficult. It's just consistency. And consistency, irrespective of the amount, will get you somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Han, there are so many people right now who are facing emergencies they didn't even know would crop up, be it health, be it issues of the school decided to raise school fees without notice, be it loss of a job or that spouse who hasn't still been able to find work. Some businesses have stalled just because of where we are. Where do you begin when you're already so at rock bottom and you just feel like, actually, I hear what she's saying, but I have nothing, and I'm just in debt. What do you do?
So first, I would say, especially if you don't have a source of income, so you've lost your job, the first thing that you need to do is find something to do to generate that income. And don't limit yourself because of what I did. You feel your status is up here, and so you can't do some things. Start with trading, whether that's buying, whatever it is, whether it's shoes, water, basic needs, in your environment, what is needed. I'll give you an example, Kobi. I read, it was a World Bank report, and, they featured this girl. Her name is Letitia, and Letitia grew up in Western Kenya. She grew up in a single parent home, if I remember correctly. When she was 13, she finished primary school. And when she finished primary school, she finished at top of her class. She was like top 5, top 3 in her class. And unfortunately could not go to high school because her mother lost her job. And when her mom lost her job, it was like, okay, now we can't go to school.
Yeah.
And so she sat down and she went on the internet and just did a bit of research. And she found out that this thing, there's rabbits that people eat, and people actually in hotels and restaurants, it's a very expensive meal.
It's a delicacy.
It's a delicacy.
Right.
So she decided to rear rabbits. And she then went to her school, her primary school, and said to them, this is the situation, my mom lost her job, but there's this exciting thing I want to start. She was 14.
Yeah.
Want to start, or 13 or 14, and I would like to borrow 50,000 shillings. Believe it or not, but I believe it's probably because of her character and the fact that she was a smart girl, was lent 50,000 shillings by her school. This is a Kenyan, and it's a true story.
Yeah.
She got the money and she started rearing rabbits. Before long, she had employed 15 women in her community and was able to go to school.
Wow.
And in the process, applied to the African Leadership Academy in South Africa.
Yeah.
And got sponsored, I guess it's sponsored.
A scholarship.
A scholarship.
Of sorts, yeah.
And she then ended up finishing high school at 16 years old. She was accepted. Today, this child, whose mother lost her job, she was 13 years old, is in Costa Rica.
Wow.
Doing her degree. She's in university.
Wow.
She's now, I think, 21 years old. So what I'm trying to say is, look at your environment. What is it that you can do to add value to that environment, or to sell, or to, what need can you address in that environment, whether it's your passion or not? You see, we're talking about a situation where you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so it's not, what am I passionate about? No, I don't feel that. No, that doesn't sound nice.
Yeah, and right now
By the
we're all
way,
in our feelings. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether it means going to hawk things, all right, trade, whether it means going to cook in your house chapatis and come in the morning and sell to your colleagues, whatever it takes is what you need to do, because you have to earn an income. And for those of you who already have an income, those of us who already have an income, it's so key to have more than just one source of income.
Okay.
You need to have multiple income sources because of that risk of losing your job, of business not working out. Stuff happens. You have cyclical situations where today business is up, tomorrow it's down, and so you have to make sure you diversify your sources of income, even as an individual, to prevent that sort of situation in the future.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Very well said. All right, so I'm just going to share a little clip on Did You Know? All right, just teaching you a few little facts you didn't know about saving and investing. When we come back, what do you do when the debt collector comes knocking? All right, and then in the third part, of course, we'll be talking about where we are nationally. All right, take a look at this. All right, trying to teach you new things every single morning. All right, now, of course, one of the things I can definitely say is saving is one thing, all right? You've saved and you've done well, all right? And emergencies crop up and you're good. And you're one of those just Stella Perfect kind of people.
Yeah.
But you're impulsive in your spending.
Yeah.
And I think all of us have that one little streak. We have a vice, all of us. How do you curb that, and especially now?
I think you can have a budget for that.
Okay, good.
You can have a budget or some amount of money that you put aside that is just for what I feel that month. Yeah. And then that way you don't feel like you're restricting yourself so much. I mean, there are those of us, I think there are two kinds of people generally. There are those who are very strict, especially hoarders. They will be very strict about how much money they spend each month and will be able to very strictly follow a budget. And for those, they're fine. They don't have issues with spending money and splurging.
Right.
But then there are those of us who tend to struggle a little bit. And when you say budget, they just see stars, eh? They just can't function.
And they really believe it's not in them.
No.
It's not in them. I don't know how it's, I'm not like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're in that category, what has worked, and I think what works for me, because I tend to be in that category, is just decide how much money are you going to save per month as a percentage of the income that you earn. And then make sure you send that money on its way as soon as it lands in your hands or in your account, for example. So if it's, say, 30% that you want to save, you say when my money comes in, 30% out. If it's 10%, 10% out. You have an automatic, say, a direct debit to another savings account that you cannot touch, or perhaps to what we call a money market fund.
Right.
And I can explain what that is.
Okay.
That way you invest your money or save your money immediately without having access to it. And then with that balance, you're not being asked questions. If you want to eat all of it,
do your thing.
and the rest of the month you have nothing else, you have no fuel, that's up to you. but you end up enjoying.
That's great. Money. Yeah, because you in the back of your mind, you're very aware that your money is somewhere working for you.
Exactly.
Absolutely, and it gives you that little relief.
Yes, it does.
That's great. Okay, so we have a question from one of our audience members. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. What is your name?
My name is Francisca.
Okay.
And my question is on investing. So personally, I've never invested in anything in the markets, but I was thinking of taking up this Emakiba thing that the government introduced.
Okay.
But now that we're in election mode, people, from what I've heard, people are not sure about how things are going to go in the buying and selling aspects. So would you advise me to should I overlook it and just go for it? Should I invest in it?
Yeah.
Your fear is real, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, not knowing. It's a good question. Good for you.
It's a great question, and I'm grateful that she's asked, but I want to answer it in two parts, if that's okay.
Go for it.
I want to just explain what Emakiba is for those who may not know.
Okay.
And then I'll answer her question about is it okay to just go ahead and invest. So Emakiba is a product that was launched by the government. Okay. It's a treasury bond. It's a form of a treasury bond, which means the government, for it to provide its services and infrastructure and things like that, to finance its needs, has created a product that allows it to borrow money from the public. So Emakiba, it borrows specifically from individuals like you and I.
Okay.
And you can invest a minimum of 3,000 shillings, and it's all done from the phone. So you just dial.
I got a text this week from Emakiba.
Okay. So it's actually currently running.
Yeah.
You just dial *889#. You open your account online. You don't queue anywhere, and then you set up your account, and then you can apply for whatever amount you want. Minimum being 3,000.
Okay.
And you can invest up to whatever figure. But obviously the maximum per day is 140,000. So now to the question of is it okay to invest? As I said again, you're investing in a government or a treasury instrument, a treasury bond.
Right.
The government will pay back, whether it means printing money, whether it means going to get money from wherever it is, but they can print money if they need to pay you back, but they will pay you back. And the interest is guaranteed. It's 10% and it's tax-free. So it's a great investment from the perspective of it being tax-free and of it being risk-free.
Wow.
All right?
Okay.
Because there's no risk. You get your money back for sure.
Right.
And it's guaranteed you'll get 10% and there's no tax. Now, if you put your money in a savings account, just to compare, today you get 7% interest if you have 3,000 shillings. In fact, you probably get less. But let's just say it's 7%, right? If it's in a savings account. That 7% will be taxed. Withholding tax of, I think it's 10 or 15% that you pay to the government. So it's 7% less that tax. So here is a situation where you're putting the same amount of money at 10%, which is more, and it's tax-free.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd say yes. Elections, no elections, the interest rate will remain the same. The government is not going anywhere. We might have people, causing a bit of, feeling a bit disappointed after the elections have happened. Yeah. However, we will go back and the government will continue to carry out its activities. So please, Francisca, go ahead and invest. In whatever it is you're investing, whether it's the stock market or whether it's in that Emakiba, I'd say please go ahead and do not stop because of elections. Election is one day and we shall go back and things will go back to normal.
Absolutely. Reena, you're just great. Give her a hand, guys. Give her a warm hand. You're so awesome. She's so awesome. All right, so when we come back, we'll tell you a few facts you didn't know about where we are nationally. There's nothing to worry about, everybody. Kenya is headed for a very bright future. We'll be right back after this break. Thank you, everybody. All right, we are back today, of course, talking about personal finances and, of course, the national economy. Lots to talk about, but remember the key thing is save, save, save. And Rina Hicks is here. She is the author of this great book, which she was just talking about here, Create, Grow, and Preserve Wealth. We wish we could all do it. It sounds so easy, I think, and then you get into it. And money, I feel like, has its own vibe, and it does its own thing, but you can control that. Now, moving, of course, from personal finance into national, looking at 2017 and the high expectations on our national economy, tell us a little bit about where we are.
Yeah, I think where we are can be looked at different factors as you try and evaluate. Okay, should I be afraid? Should I proceed, where are we at in this election year? And the key things that you look at is, one, how are companies performing? The companies that exist in our market, how are they performing? Because I can't tell you about the guy down at the road. I can only use the companies that are listed on the stock exchange, because that data is readily available and it's public information. And when you look at the performances as they are being announced, the company performances have been, you know, not affected by the fact that it's elections. It's bigger issues that have affected them. For example, interest rates. You know, so banks, for example, have been significantly affected by several things, one of which is the capping of interest rates, which means they're unable to price in risk in their, as they charge for their loans. So if I'm a risky client and I want to take a personal unsecured loan like we used to be able to, and they would typically have charged me, say, 25-30% for my loan. But now they can't, because there's a cap. They cannot charge me more than 14%. So what does that mean? If I go and ask them for a personal unsecured loan, they can't give me.
Right.
Because then how do they price in that risk? So that means the lending has reduced. The amount of loans they've given out, even to businesses, has reduced. So instead, they're giving the money to the government, to investing in corporate bonds, government bonds, because that way then they're giving to the government, they're assured to get back the interest. The interest is not so bad, and they're assured they'll get their money back, as opposed to giving money to Reena, who they're not sure will pay back. And so then what that does is reduces the amount of money they can earn from lending to people like you and me. So the earnings that they will report are not as exciting in terms of growth as they have been in the past few years. And then they've also been affected by the demand by the central bank to demonstrate the true performing loans, you know, and those ones that are non-performing, they have to show that. And so that has affected their results. So what I'm trying to show is, it's not about elections. You know, the performance of those companies, first of all, the performance is usually a whole year. Right. You know, whether it's January to December or June to June. June to, what's the period?
It's usually June to June.
June to June is a year. Yeah. So elections will come and they'll go, and these companies will continue to operate. If it's newspapers we're buying, say from NTV, we'll continue to buy the newspapers. In fact, they'll probably sell more now, based on selling the newspapers and even advertising. They will advertise even more, and so they will make more money in this season. So if I'm looking at companies and their earnings, then I can say for sure elections may just have a slight impact, and also depending on the company you're in. If you're in tourism, you might feel there's a bit of an impact. If you are in fast-moving consumer goods, you will enjoy this season. So it depends. And the issues that will affect you go beyond the fact that it's elections. Other factors is foreign direct investments, for example. If you look at the stock market, 70% of our turnover is foreign. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
So where are Kenyans? And why aren't they investing? If foreigners in the West...
And that's the first thing that goes, is your foreign investors.
Exactly.
When there's some speculation.
Absolutely.
And they've got amazing intelligence as well.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And so they're able to look at the country risk and say, oh my goodness, this place, political risk, terrorism, you know, security threats, we're not investing, we're getting out. And they will do that. And they have done that before.
And they've not done it now.
No. In fact, if you invested in the stock market in January, February, March even, you would have made 30 to 40% on your investment. I can even give you a specific example.
Tell me.
If you invested, say, for example, in KCB, Kenya Commercial Bank, in January or in February this year, the price was roughly about 27 shillings or thereabouts, right? And even if you came in later, you'd have bought it at 30 shillings. Today, you're going to be able to sell that stock at 40 shillings. Safaricom was at 17 shillings. Today, it's at 24 shillings, 25 cents. Yeah. So you know, those are just two examples. There's others. There's other insurance companies.
And there's some people who usually invest in other years, but this year they decided to hold back, and the loss is on them now. Yeah,
but they lost out on the opportunity. So the fact is, in January, people said, it's an election year. I'm going to hold back. I'm not investing. Others are like, really? Okay, fine. Don't invest. But then you don't invest. Then the results come out for the first quarter, and you're like, oh, KCB did okay, but it's an election year. And the results they're giving are for the previous period. So, I mean, it goes beyond just the fact that we're going to queue on a line and elect this leader. The issue is the government committed to ensuring that there's political stability, you know, and security in the country, and to ensure that they put in the right measures to ensure that we are safe as a nation.
And so far they've said they have.
And I think they have, and I think they will. None of them want to see a situation where we go into chaos as a country like we saw in 2007, 2008. So I am confident, Kobi, that we are going to be fine.
Okay.
All right? We're going to be fine. Yes, there will be disappointment because only one person is going to win, right?
True.
In terms of one person is going to win one particular seat. But that disappointment is not going to drive us to where we were.
Okay.
I am confident about that. So please invest and consider other issues. You know, what are the key issues? You know, what are interest rates like? What is foreigners investing? You know, are corporates making money? What sectors should I invest in? And let your decision be based on fundamental issues that do with whether or not a company can perform well and not whether we have elections.
All right, Reena, now looking at, of course, the fact that, yes, you're right, the elections will end. Then we have September to December. And a lot of companies have not even started spending their annual budget. So are we looking at a lot of spend when it comes between September and December? A lot of people offloading? How do you feel?
I think after the elections, we'll see a lot of positive sentiment generally. And so it will be good if you're in.
Oh, good.
In fact, if you can invest in whatever instrument it is you're looking to invest now, obviously you'll do your research and ensure that it is a viable opportunity. I'd say now is the time, particularly especially if it's a stock market. Now is the time, because after we finish with the elections, you know, it'll be business as usual. And so the opportunities to invest when people are actually optimistic will be less. Or the opportunities will still be there, but you get them, the prices a little higher. So if you can get in now, before the September, October, because everybody's thinking the same, let me wait until after elections, let me wait until after the elections.
But now there'll be a lot of money out there, and hopefully it'll trickle to the right place. Hopefully it'll trickle to the right place. Tell me a little bit about, do you hold talks? Do you visit institutions, groups? Tell me about that as we wind up.
So I guess in the process of doing the YouTube channel and you know, I guess selling the book, I have been called up to do several talks. So first of all, by individuals who come and say, look, I need you to help me out. And so I started doing consulting, where I help individuals with their personal finances and help them through the challenges that they're facing. You know, you find people who would typically be in a finance job who advise people, but for themselves, they forget themselves, they don't do the right things for themselves. And so I have been called by one person to please help them, because yes, while they know what they should be doing, they're just not doing it. And so I coach. So we walk a journey together where you tell me what exactly is it that you want to achieve, and I walk with you that journey. The other thing is, with corporates, help them with their staff, where they want assistance with getting their staff knowledgeable in what can you do with your money, how do you save, how do you budget, in simple ways, because I like to break it down. I understand the jargon, but I try not to use it, and just give stories and examples of actual real people, including myself, who have gone through struggles and passed over the struggles, so that then people can identify with that. And so yes, I do talks to people of different groups as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, the name of the book again, everybody, is Money Wise: Create, Grow, and Preserve Wealth, and it is available in stores.
It is at Textbook Center.
At Textbook Center.
And also on mymook.com, so it can get delivered. We also organize delivery as well. And there's a phone number people can either WhatsApp or call.
How much is it, Reena?
It's 1,000 shillings.
1,000. Very good.
1,000 shillings,
very good. And Reena is gracious enough today to give 2 copies. 2 copies, all right? We, of course, are going to give you a challenge. Log on to our social media platforms. Tell us how you have been saving in 2017 and what benefits and gains you've seen. Tell us your story, very simple, and you might be one of those lucky people who takes a copy of this. All you have to do is just log on to betterliving_KE. We are everywhere on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Tell us your financial story and we'll be happy to gift you. Thank you, Reena. Guys, give her a hand. She's so awesome. You're just great. Thank you, darling.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
Are you taking time off?
From
anything?
No.
Why? Work.
And I enjoy what I do. So I'm not running away to anywhere. I think I am in Kenya. I'm a Kenyan. And I have to stay here and just enjoy what we have to offer. So I'm not taking time. I'll take time off later.
Fantastic.
I'll take time off later.
Thank you, love. Thank you for being here. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We leave you with a wonderful track just to set the sail for the week and the week to come. Have a good one, everybody. Reach peace. Thanks.